Welcome back, hope you enjoy. Library of Heaven's Path, Chapter 431. The pill is formed, sudden changes. Indeed, the light entered his mind, and Crown Prince Yuanqing nodded in satisfaction before focusing intently on his sensations. Zhang Zan and the others tested the medicine, uncovering its various properties. At this moment, he only needed to perfectly balance the medicinal properties of the 9 pills to merge them into one. This would forge the first ever eternal golden pill in all of history. Having fully comprehended the fusion technique passed on by Elder Zhang Li, Crown Prince Yuanqing extended a finger. The 9 pills, arranged in a circle, began to attract each other as expected, gradually drawing closer together like magnets. A moment later, the pills completely fused into a single golden yellow pill. Strange patterns covered its surface, resembling the great Tao or fragments of the heavens. A mere glance at it caused dizziness. Rumble. Just then, thunder roared above them, reverberating throughout the subterranean gallery. The entire space shook violently, as if it could collapse at any moment. It's the pill tribulation. Let's get out. Relieved, Elder Zhang Li explained hurriedly. A peerless elixir, once born, undergoes the same lightning tribulation as a powerful cultivator. If it survives, it ascends gloriously; if it fails, it is utterly destroyed. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Crown Prince Yuanqing grabbed the pill and darted swiftly toward the passage they'd come from. Zhang Zan followed closely, deliberately staying at the rear. With a thought, he collected the remaining unopened yellow river guiding flowers, along with a mountain of bones and countless streams of yellow water from the netherworld, into the new world. The next moment, within the seabed of his new world, an identical subterranean gallery appeared. The yellow water flowed effortlessly, and the guiding flowers grew quietly, as if they had never been moved. Though unsure what other uses these medicinal materials might have besides forging the eternal golden pill, Zhang Zan reasoned that anything commanding such extensive effort from Crown Prince Yuanqing must hold great value. He collected them for future use. The 4 moved swiftly, and before long, they reached the surface. The sea, held under the suppressive influence of the mountain river order, towered like a 1,000-foot-high wall, forming a cavity made entirely of water. Hovering mid-air, Crown Prince Yuanqing made a gesture. The force sustaining the sea's suspended state vanished, and the water plummeted downward, erupting into roaring waves. Countless marine creatures in the sea were instantly torn to shreds by the torrents, their blood staining the vast expanse a deep crimson. In the eyes of the Crown Prince and Elder Zhang Li, not even their disciples' lives mattered, let alone marine animals. Their deaths elicited not the faintest ripple of emotion. Zhang Zan similarly ignored the chaotic sea below and raised his gaze toward the heavens. Dense, black storm clouds thick as ink blanketed the sky, identical to how it appeared when Zhang Zan comprehended love destiny. The scene stretched as far as the eye could see, engulfing everything within view. Massive bolts of lightning churned within the clouds, threatening to strike at any moment. Not as strong as when I comprehended love destiny, Zhang Zan noted to himself. Though resembling his prior experience, both the lightning's power and range were comparatively weaker. Of course, this was merely relative. Even with his significantly heightened cultivation, Zhang Zan knew he couldn't resist these thunderbolts. He concluded that if they struck, not even a life C9 Dan expert would likely withstand them. For a pill to truly transform into a peerless elixir, it must undergo lightning tribulation. However, once the tribulation strikes, the pill will develop spiritual wisdom. If His Highness intends to forge it, he must earn its recognition, Elder Zhang Li remarked. I know what to do. Interrupting him mid-sentence, Crown Prince Yuanqing replied. Opening his fingers, he allowed the pill to slowly rise and float toward the sky. The surrounding lightning bolts, having found their target, grew noticeably more violent. With a deafening bang, endless streams of lightning cascaded downward. The pill was instantly enveloped in lightning. Under the intense baptism, its unique patterns emitted dazzling light as the final impurities were purged. The 9 pills merged flawlessly, utterly inseparable. Swoosh. Having fused perfectly, the pill seemed to awaken spiritual wisdom. Sensing that the lightning had yet to dissipate, it trembled in fear and attempted to flee into the distance. However, once a lightning tribulation begins, escape is impossible. In the blink of an eye, raging bolts of electricity sealed off the surrounding space completely. A deep purple lightning streak descended soon afterward. This bolt was more terrifying than the previous ones. If it struck, the newly forged peerless divine pill might very well crumble and collapse on the spot. The eternal heart was an inherently heaven-defying existence, forbidden by the Tian Dao itself. Now that it had been forged, it was naturally targeted for annihilation. Don't be afraid. I'm here. At just this moment, Crown Prince Yuanqing suddenly appeared before the pill. Raising his hand to the heavens, a small jade seal symbolizing his royal identity began to glimmer. Divine authority graced upon me by the heavens, I shall rule the world in the future. This pill, I protect it. His voice, resonating with immense authority, swept across the land. It carried unparalleled strength, resembling that of a sovereign who controlled the entire world. Intimidated, the oncoming thunderbolts weakened considerably, retaining only about half their original magnitude before descending once more. Knowing that even this reduced intensity would spell doom for the pill, Crown Prince Yuanqing stepped forward to shield it with his own body. Crack! The lightning struck him directly, disheveling his hair and attire. His bronze-colored skin was exposed. Spurt! Crown Prince Yuanqing spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Despite his Tongshuan cultivation, the terrifying lightning left its mark, heavily injuring him. Chirp chirp chirp. The pill seemed to recognize the one shielding it from the lightning. Having just developed spiritual wisdom, its earlier resistance disappeared. Trembling softly, it landed in his palm, like a docile puppy submitting willingly. Excellent, Crown Prince Yuanqing exclaimed in excitement. His goal in shielding the pill from the thunderbolts was to cultivate familiarity and eventually gain its cooperation for refinement. Judging by the outcome, he had achieved considerable success. Crash! Having unleashed 2 rounds of lightning strikes, the storm clouds now dissipated completely, their reserved strength drained. The world resumed its brilliance. It worked, Elder Zhong Li exclaimed in exhilaration as he approached, gazing intently at the pill before him. The peerless elixir, purified by the lightning tribulation, now emanated power that transcended nature. Even without consuming it, a mere inhale of its essence caused one's heart to race, their strength skyrocketing. Ha ha ha! The eternal heart, eternal golden body, they will all be mine. Crown Prince Yuanqing's hearty laughter reverberated through the surroundings, his eyes brimming with uncontainable excitement. Of course, there's no time to lose, refine the pill immediately. Elder Zhong Li urged. Having painstakingly forged a peerless divine pill, he was impatient to witness its extraordinary effects. Understood. Crown Prince Yuanqing nodded and shifted his gaze to Zhang Zan. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed Zhang Zan and dragged him closer. After consuming so many pills, it's finally time for results. Swish. As his words ended, Crown Prince Yuanqing thrust his palm toward Zhang Zan's chest. In the blink of an eye, his hand pierced Zhang Zan's torso and extracted the 7-orifice exquisite heart. Chapter 432. Zhang Xuanqing. No one expected him to strike suddenly without a hint of hesitation. Empyrean Kong Shi's pupils constricted, and just as he was about to charge forward, he felt his body stiffen involuntarily. Elder Zhong Li had already locked the space around him, sealing him in midair. Why? Zhang Zan spat out blood continuously, his eyes filled with unwillingness and disbelief, seemingly never expecting this scene to unfold. Why? The so-called drug trial was merely to find a heart that could endure the medicine power of a peerless elixir. Did you really think I would let you, a mere galaxy realm kid, randomly consume the precious medicines I've gathered over so many years? Prince Yuanqing's eyes held an amused smile as he looked at the young man before him, as if looking at an ant he could casually crush. Endure the medicine power. Zhang Zan was puzzled. Considering you contributed your heart to me, telling you isn't a problem. As the victor, Prince Yuanqing relished this feeling of assured triumph, looking over indifferently. To forge an eternal heart, even with a peerless elixir, requires a suitable constitution. As the heir of the Tianli Empire, I was born with immense fortune. Trying to condense such an eternal capability is nearly impossible, so, I thought of another method, which is, a heart transplant. Being the crown prince, he was born enjoying numerous auras. If he could also have long life, indestructibility, it would mean all the world's benefits fell to him alone. Even if many people disagreed, even the way of heaven wouldn't approve. Therefore, the royalty, no matter how strong their talent or abundant their resources, could not condense an eternal heart, unable to enjoy the normal longevity like other cultivators. Prince Yuanqing knew this from the moment he began his cultivation practice and chose a different path, Since his heart could not become an eternal heart, why not replace it? Reaching his cultivation realm, not only was changing a heart possible without dying, but even replacing all his meridians would be fine. Thus, 20 years ago, he found the world's first apothecary, and began preparing this peerless divine pill. The pill can assist in transforming into an eternal heart, but it requires being able to endure it first. Hence, using drug trials as an excuse, he searched everywhere, until he found this genius in recent days who could withstand the medicine power without dying. Everything that followed, Zhongzhan knew nothing about. He was used in every pill forging to test, and his heart indeed endured, growing increasingly stronger. The secret involved in this matter was too significant, the fewer who knew, the better. So, as soon as Bian Zhongwen found people, they died, and even high-status elders like Yao Yun and Yao Chen became nourishment for the medicine, turning to ashes. It's your fortune that I can use your heart. Seeing he understood, Prince Yuanqing snorted lightly. His expression was neither sorrowful nor joyful, as if doing this was only natural. Knowing the current situation left Zhongzhan without any recourse, despite his eyes being full of resentment, he had no way out. Trembling, he looked up to see the space around being sealed by the prince's jade seal, making it impossible for others, even the way of heaven, to peek in. Heart replacement, thereby condensing the eternal aureate body, such a defiance of the way of heaven naturally required deceit first. Once successful, even if discovered, nothing could be done about it. You won't die a good death. Zhongzhan shouted weakly, his body gradually tensing, and he closed his eyes heavily. Having lost his heart, it was already unexpected for him to survive this long given his strength. HMPH. Disinclined to pay any heed to Zhongzhan, who had closed his eyes, Prince Yuanqing's eyes fell on the heart in front of him. Even without a corpse, the 7 orifices continued to absorb origin qi, beating slowly and powerfully. The heart reaching 7 orifices, despite being far from eternal, still teemed with vitality, and wouldn't perish even with mere short detachments of a few minutes or even years. The 7 orifice exquisite heart is very good, but only reaching 9 orifices is worthy of eternity. Prince Yuanqing smiled gently, touching the peerless divine pill in his palm, gently stroking it. Buzz. Understanding his intention, the pill flew directly towards Zhongzhan's heart, burrowing inside. Boom. Nourished by the pill, the 7 orifice exquisite heart transformed dramatically as if a transformer had acquired an energy cube, evolving from 7 orifices to 8 in the blink of an eye, and continued its slow transformation. 9 is the number of extremes. A heart with 9 orifices is truly an eternal heart. Although 8 orifices were slightly lacking, it was already on the right path, and with the passage of time, success was inevitable. Great. Even as calm as Prince Yuanqing was, he couldn't help feeling somewhat uncontrollably excited at this moment. The achievement of an eternal heart, even his father, Emperor Fusheng, or peerless masters like Buddha, had never accomplished. Yet now, it was in his grasp. Every pill you consumed contained my blood essence. With the heart activated through this medicine power, it has already acquired my strength, indistinguishable from mine. Prince Yuanqing touched his hand upon the heart, indeed feeling a rich familiarity, as if it hadn't been taken from someone else but from within his own body. Having chosen a heart transplant, naturally, preparations needed to be made in advance, otherwise, any rejection from the heart would render all prior efforts null. Now it seemed, every preparation was flawless, every progression perfect. Your Highness, be quick. The recent lightning tribulation was too loud, I fear something may happen. Seeing him motionless, Elder Zhongli couldn't help but clasp his fists. Prince Yuanqing nodded, raising his hand and stabbing fiercely into his own chest. Thunk. His heart, like Zhongzhan's earlier, was forcibly ripped out. This heart seemed strong too, with each beat like a drum, but it hadn't even reached the 7 orifice realm, let alone the 9 orifices of an eternal heart. Accompanied me for so many years, and truly a bit reluctant to part. Prince Yuanqing smiled gently, placing his own heart aside, casually picking Zhongzhan's heart and inserting it into his chest. Thump 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 thump. The 9 orifice eternal heart began to beat violently once inside, as if inhaling and exhaling the entire universe. Something's wrong. Feeling the surge of vitality the heart brought, Prince Yuanqing was just about to savor the exhilaration of his growing cultivation when his brow suddenly furrowed. What is it? Noticing something, was amiss, Elder Zhongli couldn't help but look. This was a pill concocted with decades of painstaking effort. Naturally, he wanted to know the result. This heart seems somewhat rejecting me. Prince Yuanqing shook his head. But it's fine, probably just that guy's intent causing trouble, it can be eradicated. Powerful soul energy poured into the heart. What's this? Suddenly, he stopped, as a 9-story small tower quietly hovered in the deepest part of the heart. Chapter 433. This small tower, ancient and solemn, emitted a faint Buddhist radiance that gave an illusion of transcending the mundane and stepping beyond the 5 elements. Is this, the Buddha's reincarnation relic tower? How could it be here? Prince Yuanqing was stunned. The reincarnation relic tower was an unparalleled artifact specially crafted by the Buddha in his effort to forge the eternal golden body, though it was never completed in the end. Although the desired golden body, which all cultivators yearn for, was not achieved, the value of this artifact was self-evident. Typically, it would rarely leave the Buddhist sect. Now, its sudden appearance inside his own heart seemed undeniably bizarre. No matter the reason, this is a boon for me. After a moment of doubt, Prince Yuanqing erupted with excitement. Back then, the Buddha had failed because he lacked the eternal heart. Now, with his eternal heart about to succeed, and paired with the 9 Buddha bone relics housed within the 9-story treasure tower, condensing the eternal golden body had become a tangible possibility. I'll start with forging it. Knowing full well that such an artifact wasn't truly his and would eventually be reclaimed by the Buddha, Prince Yuanqing's eyebrows arched as a surge of irresistible intent directed his vitality to flood the remaining power of the reincarnation relic tower. Whether its prior owner was the Buddha or the venerable Qingyan, as long as they weren't present, with the dominance of his power destiny, forging it was nothing more than a matter of thought. Boom! As the river of destiny materialized, the lingering consciousness within the reincarnation relic tower was indeed wiped clean. Just as he was about to integrate it, the treasure tower suddenly trembled, broke free from the shackles of his heart, and shot straight into the distance. Trying to escape, Prince Yuanqing coldly snarled and reached out with a grasp of immense force. However, before his hand could touch the tower, the artifact seemed to dive into the depths of the phantasm space and vanished in the blink of an eye without leaving a single trace. Prince Yuanqing frowned. He had sealed the surrounding space entirely with the power of the small jade seal. Logically, no one should have been capable of escaping before his eyes, not even a pseudo-immortal surpassing the life sea realm. Yet, the fact stood clear: the reincarnation tower, which he had just purged of its intent, had gone missing as if it had never existed. Could it be a trick of the Buddha? Prince Yuanqing's face darkened. That artifact belonged to the Buddha. For such an occurrence, he could think of no other reason beyond the intervention of this supreme being. No matter. Let's completely forge the heart for my use first. Understanding that dealing with the Buddha at his current level would make reclaiming the tower exceedingly difficult, Prince Yuanqing decided not to dwell on it. His soul energy flowed once again toward the depths of his heart, seeking to quickly refine this object. However, before his intent could fully reach the heart's core, a massive iron chain suddenly came into view. Like the reincarnation relic tower earlier, it was suffused with Buddhist power, locking the heart tightly and barring his intent from penetration. The Buddhist sect. Prince Yuanqing's eyes narrowed. If he had thought this mysterious young man's appearance was strange before, there was no longer any doubt. This person was assuredly tied to the Buddhist sect. Otherwise, how could someone casually bring forth treasures of such extraordinary power from the Buddhist sect? The earlier artifact was the reincarnation relic tower, so this chain, if he guessed correctly, must be another celestial treasure forged by the Buddha, the 10 Directions Bodhi Demon suppression rope. Once again summoning the river of destiny and pairing it with his formidable strength, he swiftly tempered the soul energy within the chain. However, as the forging succeeded, the chain lightly trembled as well and completely disappeared. Damn it! Having failed twice in a row, Prince Yuanqing was starting to feel fatigued. Though his strength was immense, both of these artifacts were creations of the Buddha, and even the remnants of their consciousnesses were no trivial opponents. The eternal heart is what matters most. Knowing this was not the time for pursuit, Prince Yuanqing, despite his mounting fury, suppressed his emotions and focused his soul energy once more on the heart, determined to purge the intent left behind by Zhang Xuanqing. But just as his soul energy neared the core, a hand suddenly appeared, grabbing the heart that he had placed in his chest but had yet to stabilize. With a light tug, the heart was extracted outright. It was exactly the same as when he had taken it from Zhang Zan's body back then. This. Prince Yuanqing froze, quickly lifting his gaze, only to see the young man he had just killed, lifeless moments ago, somehow reappearing in front of him, clutching the heart. You aren't dead. Well, you won't live for long. Seeing that not only was the man alive but also had the audacity to reclaim the heart, Prince Yuanqing's eyes narrowed. With a loud roar, he tried to summon the blood essence he had left in the heart to retrieve it. But to his shock, the familiar connection all but vanished, as though the safeguards he'd placed had been completely wiped away. How is this possible? Prince Yuanqing was dumbfounded. If his opponent possessed cultivation on par with his own, such a feat might have made sense. But the man was merely a galaxy realm weakling. How could he erase his blood essence? No, it wasn't erased. It was commanded to leave. The realization struck him like lightning. Feeling the stirring energy inside the other's body, Prince Yuanqing understood immediately. The man had borrowed his heavenly mandate. His own blood essence naturally obeyed orders from his heavenly mandate. Thus, in an instant, it departed and fell under the other's control. Who are you exactly? How can you wield the power destiny? Prince Yuanqing's mind was in turmoil. The power destiny was a first-level destiny. Even though he had only grasped one of its branches, his attainment had already reached Tier 2. This kind of power was difficult even for him to control. How had this man harnessed it so easily and even unleashed so much heavenly mandate vitality in one move? Your Highness's gift, I am deeply grateful. A faint chuckle reached his ears as Zhang Xuanqing's silhouette blurred and shot straight into the distance. Since the space had been sealed, even he couldn't tear it apart to escape and could only resort to flight. Leave the heart behind. Prince Yuanqing felt like he was going insane. After spending 20 years in efforts to forge the pill and find a compatible heart, sacrificing untold resources, success had seemed within reach. Now, this unforeseen variable had snatched it all away. Fury surged in his mind. Like a raging storm, threatening to drive him mad. Boom! With a wave of his hand, he struck toward the fleeing young man with immense force. Swish! Before the strike could land, a majestic river of destiny, shimmering like starlight, manifested in front of him, rippling with rich Buddhist energy. This power was distinct from the treasures earlier. It conveyed a sense of selflessness, a complete detachment from oneself. Although this river of destiny appeared shorter and slightly weaker than a standard one, its aura and pressure undeniably emanated from the Buddhist sect. The Buddhist sect, no self-destiny. Are you the venerable Qingyan? From the side, Elder Zhongli recognized it and couldn't help crying out in shock. Chapter 434. Activating the Essence Pill. The fleeing youth did not reply but reached out in midair. The previously restrained Empyrean Kongxi instantly disappeared, as if taken into some kind of special spatial dimension. The brief pause caused him to miss the best opportunity to escape. Zhongli and Crown Prince Yuanqing approached, the small jade seal spinning rapidly and sealing off the surrounding space entirely. Who I am doesn't matter. Zhang Zan raised his head and gave a faint smile. Your Highness, if you don't want to lose everything, I suggest you stop now. Otherwise, not only will you lose the eternal heart, but you might not be able to keep your own heart either. Crown Prince Yuanqing suddenly realized that the heart he had just taken from his own chest was now somehow in the opponent's hand. In other words, the man had not only reclaimed his own heart but had also seized Yuanqing's heart along with it. It wasn't that he was careless, but rather that the small jade seal had sealed the surroundings so thoroughly that he couldn't have dreamed a measly galaxy realm cultivator would pull off such a feat. Not only had Zhang Zan used 2 Buddhist treasures to deplete Yuanqing's strength, but he had also seemingly risen from the dead and stolen the items right under his nose. No matter if you're the Blue Cloud Venerable or someone else, do you really think you can escape from both of us? Fury washed over Crown Prince Yuanqing, his eyes narrowing dangerously. Even though his heart was in the opponent's hand, Yuanqing's cultivation was strong enough to ensure no immediate issue. As long as he killed Zhang Zan, the eternal heart would still be his at the end of the day. Whether or not I can escape, that's my problem. Whether or not you want to try stopping me, that's yours. How about we make a wager? Zhang Zan smiled softly, returning his own heart to his chest. In that instant, it began to beat violently, each pulse pulling immense strength into his body, causing every cell to tremble with power. No wonder it was the 8-orifice heart. Though it had not yet broken through to the 9 orifices, it was incredibly close. Allowing the opponent to tear open his chest and take his heart earlier had clearly been intentional. From the moment Bian Zhongwen was killed, Zhang Zan had sensed something amiss. After arriving at the medicine sect, he had noticed that regardless of how valuable the pills were, they would always give him half. If it were merely trial medication, there was no way they would pay such a high price. Thus, each time he consumed a pill, he would quietly check it through the library of Heaven's Path. Given his current cultivation, unraveling the intricacies of such high-grade pills would normally be impossible, but with the library of Heaven's Path linked to the source world's heavenly Tao, even the most complex medicinal defects would become obvious. Of course, to counter their schemes, he needed to first deplete the opponent's strength. Thus, he had taken out the 10 Directions Bodhi Demon suppression rope and the Reincarnation Relic Tower. Both treasures contained the will of Buddhist high monks. Fearful of their detection, Zhang Zan had never dared forge them. Now that he brought them out, their perfect timing allowed him to use the prince's own strength to wear Yuanqing down, leading them into a situation of internal conflict. In addition, Zhang Zan released all the power of heavenly mandate vitality he had previously absorbed. The blood left in the pills, in tandem with the power of heavenly mandate, disarmed the opponent's hidden plans entirely. Hence, the heart refined by the peerless divine pill was effortlessly forged and returned to his body. Simple as it seemed, every step of the process was fraught with peril. Were it not for Zhang Zan's prior linkage to the power of heavenly mandate, his possession of 2 Buddhist supreme treasures, and the assistance of his cheat-like library of Heaven's Path, success would have been impossible. With so many fortuitous coincidences aligning perfectly, even the cunning minds of Crown Prince Yuanqing and Elder Zhang Li were caught completely off guard. Mighty peak cultivators of the mainland were duped by a mere galaxy realm expert. Then again, as long as Zhang Zan hadn't escaped yet, it couldn't truly be called a loss. Even if the heart was back in his opponent's body, they could just kill him and retrieve it. Either way, their efforts wouldn't be wasted. Recognizing this, Crown Prince Yuanqing did not rush forward. Instead, he fixed his gaze ahead, his expression cold and detached, as though he were staring at a dead man. With the Mountain River Order and small jade seal in hand, Yuanqing could contend against even those surpassing the Life Sea realm. Whether his opponent was Blue Cloud Venerable or someone else, it didn't matter. Truthfully, even a bodhisattva could be forced into battle. Why, don't you want to try anymore? Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Seeing Yuanqing's reluctance to let him go, Zhang Zan realized the conflict wouldn't end so easily. Without further words, he closed his palm with a light press. Crack! Yuanqing's heart instantly collapsed and exploded into raging energy, which Zhang Zan absorbed into his own body. The heart might have been weaker, but as the treasure of a peak Life Sea realm expert, it was still a potent supplement for Zhang Zan. You dare court death? Eyes blazing with fury, Crown Prince Yuanqing launched a powerful punch forward. The surging strength tore the surrounding space apart, creating black fissures in the void. Refine the essence pill. Understanding how terrifying this attack was, Zhang Zan knew that even with the eternal heart, his current strength was insufficient to withstand it. Without hesitation, he activated his spirit. The Frost Demon Lord's essence pill immediately floated before his chest, spinning continuously. While Zhang Zan had previously refined the pill, his heart had been too weak to activate its full power. Now driven by the 8-orifice heart, colossal waves of energy coursed through his meridians, as if the Yangtze River itself had broken its banks. At the same time, he dismissed all pretense and let Yuking Destiny frantically absorb the River of Destiny from Blue Cloud Venerable, neutralizing the backlash of the essence pill. Buddha power and magical abilities operated in tandem, and in a matter of moments, Zhang Zan's jet black hair surged to his waist, while his pitch black eyes turned blood red, resembling a murderous demon. Yet atop his head, a holy radiance emerged, shrouding him within it, like a high monk who had attained enlightenment. Buddha Demon united, an eerie fusion of malevolence and solemnity. Boom! The essence pill's power filled his body entirely, granting Zhang Zan temporary strength equivalent to the peak of the Life Sea realm. He pointed his fingers into a blade and slashed forward. Sword chi surged, splitting the space apart, intertwining violently with Yuanqing's offensive in a web-like thunderstorm stretching across tens of thousands of miles. Sea level erupted, countless waves vaporized, and innumerable creatures were cooked alive. For cultivators of such caliber, battles of unchecked power could easily devastate a city, or even an empire. History bore witness to many legacies wiped out due to the combats of such mighty figures. Buddha Demon united, just who are you? Now faced with a galaxy realm opponent who had so suddenly achieved strength rivaling his own within mere breaths, Crown Prince Yuanqing's once calm demeanor finally crumbled. Ignoring Yuanqing's question, Zhang Zan launched another piercing attack, then spun his body sharply, rushing into the distance at blazing speed. Though he could utilize the full power of the Frost Demon Lord's essence pill for now, Zhang Zan knew he remained outmatched against the Crown Prince. Escape was his only viable plan, at least until he mastered the Eternal Heart completely. You think you can run? Seeing Zhang Zan's intent, Yuanqing grasped at the air. At his command, the mountain river order trembled, unleashing a wall-like force that instantly sealed the surroundings. Zhang Zan's body froze, as if he were a fish encased in frozen waters, unable to move a single step further. Chapter 435. The Angry Blue Cloud Venerable. Tianli City, a small courtyard where the Blue Cloud Venerable resides. Blue Cloud Venerable sat quietly to one side, with Miao Nang, Miao Wu, and others standing behind him, looking at the 6 powerful figures before them. Ren Chuyao brushed the tea leaves off her bowl, took a small sip, and retrieved a piece of paper, holding it between her fingers. This is all the information related to the Demon Clan in Tianli City over the past 3 days, 31 items in total. Amitabha, many thanks to Benefactor Ren. Blue Cloud Venerable nodded and gestured to those behind him. Miao Wu understood, stepped forward with respect, holding out her hands with reverence. Ren Chuyao didn't hand over the paper but instead looked calmly over. Did the Venerable forget the promise made to the 5 forms Venerable Sage? After all this time, I don't believe you haven't been employing the causality method to investigate. I have indeed investigated, but the other side is too well hidden, or perhaps not even in Tianli City. No definitive clues have been found yet. Blue Cloud Venerable shook his head. Benefactor Ren, 5 forms Venerable Sage, and everyone else, rest assured. As a monk, I speak no falsehoods. If I discover anything, I will inform you at the earliest possible moment. Ren Chuyao pulled the piece of paper back. In that case, I'll save this for later. However, the Demon Clan is cunning and ever-changing. Though these addresses are accurate and were gathered at tremendous cost by the Tianli Empire, whether we can find anyone tomorrow is hard to say. Blue Cloud Venerable frowned. Although their interaction had been brief, he already understood that the seemingly alluring woman before him was far from as easily misled as the 5 forms Venerable Sage. It wasn't that the latter was foolish, but his adherence to decorum made him somewhat inflexible in his ways. Very well. After observing for a while and seeing that Ren Chuyao had no intention of handing it over, Blue Cloud Venerable shook his head. Using the items left by the 5 forms Venerable Sage, I can indeed trace the inheritor's causality. However, cough. Before Blue Cloud Venerable could finish his sentence, he suddenly spewed a mouthful of fresh blood, his face turning deathly pale. What happened? Ren Chuyao abruptly rose, her immense soul energy spreading outward, spanning the entire courtyard. The surroundings remained quiet, with no signs of abnormality and no strong enemy invading or ambushing. It's the spiritual imprint I left on the Buddhist supreme treasure. Someone forcibly erased it. Wiping the corner of his mouth, Blue Cloud Venerable lost his prior composure, replaced by utter disbelief. The Reincarnation Relic Tower was a celestial treasure lent to him by the Buddha himself. Not only did it contain the Buddha's soul imprint, but he had also secretly embedded a portion of his own imprint, or else he wouldn't have dared to lend it to the subordinate he recently subdued. And now, both his own imprint and the Buddha's imprint had been erased in an instant. The strength of the other party must far surpass his own, reaching a level comparable to that of a bodhisattva. No, it's the overwhelming force of the heavens. In his shock, he realized something. It wasn't that the opponent's cultivation was particularly high, but rather that the sheer vastness of their karma destiny rendered even the Buddhas will powerless in comparison. Otherwise, such a feat could never have been so effortlessly accomplished. In Tianli City, someone possessed a fate greater than the Buddha's karma destiny. Aside from that individual, there could be no one else. But, why would that person make a move? Baffled, his spiritual perception expanded at once, scanning the adjacent courtyard, only to frown immediately after. There were plenty of subordinates in the yard, but the subordinate he had tamed was nowhere to be found. The imprint is erased. Ren Chuyao looked puzzled and speculated, could it be related to the Demon Clan stronghold that the Venerable is seeking? That is unlikely. Blue Cloud Venerable was shaking his head when his expression changed again, his body trembling violently, and another mouthful of blood spurted out with a cough. Master, Miao Nang, Miao Wu, and others rushed over, their eyes filled with worry. The soul imprint on the 10 Directions Bodhi Demon suppression rope has also been wiped out. The same person acted again. What is going on? Blue Cloud Venerable was stunned. The 10 Directions Bodhi Demon suppression rope had been taken by the Frost Demon Lord along with the essence pill. He had been searching for it ever since without a trace, and now its imprint had likewise been erased. Could this mean the reincarnation relic tower and this artifact were kept together? One belonged to the subordinate he had subdued, the other to the demon he had long wished to forge. How could they have encountered someone high-ranking within the Tianli Empire, creating such conflict and even warranting such ruthless actions? No, we must look quickly. His gaze sharpened. Setting aside the immense value of the Buddha's treasures for now, the mere appearance of the Frost Demon Lord was enough to unsettle him. After all, this was his greatest chance for attaining his fruit of enlightenment. Missing it would make it exceedingly difficult to recover such an opportunity. Standing up straight, his entire aura transformed. With a sweeping motion of his hand, the river of destiny emerged, and in the next moment, waves of karmic energy surged outward into the distance. While finding the Frost Demon Lord's essence pill was currently beyond his ability, tracing the whereabouts of his subdued subordinate was much easier. Indeed, within moments, the threads of causality extended to a particular location. In the void before him, it was as if a mirror materialized, revealing the figures of Zhang Zan and Prince Yuanqing. Prince Yuanqing was surrounded by lightning. With a single punch, he seemed to embody the thunder god himself, the enormous arcs of electricity ripping gaping black fissures across the sky. Opposite him, Zhang Zan was no longer displaying any traits of a demon cultivator. Instead, his entire body radiated Buddhist light. Unable to withstand the relentless lightning tribulation, he desperately dodged in all directions. Bam! The causal line snapped, and the image disappeared. Because of his strong karmic connection with Zhang Xuanqing, Blue Cloud Venerable had managed a fleeting glimpse. Even so, merely achieving this brief moment of insight was fortunate. Any longer, and only the Buddha himself could have made it possible. What is going on? Though it was just a fleeting glimpse, it left Blue Cloud Venerable utterly dumbfounded. He could never have imagined how this insignificant figure he had effortlessly subdued ended up in conflict with the Crown Prince and, astonishingly, was even capable of standing against him in battle. No matter how he looked at it, this defied all reason and expectation. Master, save me, Prince Yuanqing covets the reincarnation relic tower and seeks to seize it. While deeply puzzled, a faint cry for help emerged from the severed causal line. For the reincarnation relic tower. Blue Cloud Venerable's face darkened. Had someone told him before that the Crown Prince would act so brazenly as to seize a Buddhist supreme treasure in open defiance, he would have dismissed it as madness. But now, with his severed connection to the relic tower and knowing his subdued subject wouldn't lie, the accusation seemed undeniable. In other words, the Crown Prince coveted the treasure, not only attempting to forcibly forge it but also intending to silence the bearer. Despicable. Fortunately, he had traced causality to locate the scene, otherwise, he wouldn't have understood what was happening until it was too late. Amitabha, Prince Yuanqing, Zhang Xuanqing is a devout follower of my Buddhist sect, why force him so relentlessly? Having grasped the situation, he could no longer hold back. Re-establishing the connection through causality, his resounding voice carried through as his figure blurred and leapt to the other end of the karmic thread. Chapter 436. Fierce Battle Part 1. Your Highness the Crown Prince. Seeing Blue Cloud Venerable leave, Ren Chuyao could no longer restrain herself. A zither appeared in her hands, and with a gentle pluck, its sound spread like waves of the sea, surrounding the figure ahead. The ultimate skill of the music Heavenly Destiny, 3 days of resonance. As long as her zither sound touches the target, no matter where they go for the next 3 days, they can be tracked effortlessly. Follow closely, whether or not we find the inheritor of the heavenly destiny of ceremony depends on this chance. Suspended in midair, Ren Chuyao shouted. Yes, Xiaoming and the others dared not waste a moment. Various methods were unleashed, and rippling glows appeared in the courtyard. In just a few moments, they had all disappeared. Ellipsis. On the sea. Feeling the connection established with Blue Cloud Venerable, Zhang Zan breathed a sigh of relief. The crown prince's strength was far too formidable, and with Elder Zhongli by his side, even after merging with the essence pill of the Frost Demon Lord and utilizing the Eternal Heart, it was still hard to hold them off. His only option was to seek reinforcements. And Blue Cloud Venerable, his so-called master, was undoubtedly the best choice. Though his strength might not directly rival Prince Yuanqing's, being backed by the Buddhist sect with an endless arsenal of treasures, he could at least stall the opponent long enough for Zhang Zan to escape. Within his chest, the 8-orifice heart roared like an 8-cylinder engine, its rhythm relentless. The immense magical power contained within the essence pill, compressed to its limits, churned like torrential rivers. This power, synchronized with exquisite swordsmanship, tore the surrounding space into countless fragments. Daring to strike at me. Such audacity. Accompanied by Prince Yuanqing's roar, Zhang Zan instantly felt his surging power come to a halt. As if frozen in ice, its movements sharply hindered. The power destiny could command the world itself. Even with his power elevated to rival the peak of Life Sea Realm after absorbing the essence pill, Zhang Zan nearly succumbed under the weight of a single command. No wonder the Tianli Empire was so formidable, one shout could extinguish a person's will to resist. The allure of such power was truly unparalleled. Thud, thud, thud. Just as fear began to take root deep within Zhang Zan's heart, the persistent pulse of his heart resounded. The medicinal potency of the peerless elixir subtly trembled, dissolving the oppressive influence of the power destiny and restoring him to his former self. Kings may rise and fall, but next year, it'll be my turn. Who gave you the gall to strike at me? With a bold laugh, Zhang Zan flicked his wrist, sending sword chi cascading like rain. The two traded blows, each retreating simultaneously. At that moment, Elder Zhongli's figure flickered. A cauldron hurtled towards Zhang Zan's back. Bang! Unable to evade in time, he was struck harshly. His physical body shattered instantly, reduced to a mass of blood and flesh, leaving only a fist-sized heart behind. Thump! The heart pulsed once, and the air became filled with intricate networks of blood vessels and meridians. The surging power it released rapidly expanded outward, soon reconstructing his skeletal frame and flesh. As long as the eternal heart existed, he was an indestructible being, not even obliteration into dust could end him. HMPH. Turning his eyes toward Elder Zhongli, Zhang Zan's gaze narrowed. He hadn't anticipated this old fool to strike so quickly, exploiting a moment of exhaustion during his battle with Prince Yuanqing. That one strike had nearly cost him his life. If he hadn't completely fused with the eternal heart, his soul might have already been scattered. Zhongli, who gave you the courage? Zhang Zan raised his brows, his voice thundering with a declaration mirroring the one Prince Yuanqing had uttered moments earlier. In an instant, endless power of heavenly mandate swirled along threads of emotions, forming a massive river in front of him. It surged toward Zhongli with overwhelming might. For a fleeting moment, Zhongli seemed to see the visage of Emperor Fusheng. A profound dread surged from the depths of his soul, crawling along his spine and making his body tremble uncontrollably. Not only did he sense power emanating from Zhang Zan, but he also perceived awe-inspiring authority. To combine both power and majesty in a single being, even Emperor Fusheng had never achieved such a feat. Schlick. A streak of sword chi descended. So, this is the one who stole my destiny. Sever it. Just as the sword chi was about to strike, Prince Yuanqing's voice rang out. Zhang Zan's full force draw upon the threads of power did not go unnoticed. With a single thought, Yuanqing severed the connective, love thread, at its very core. It wasn't that the love destiny was weaker than its counterpart. It was simply that Zhang Zan had only reached the 4th level. Such a disparity in realms was not something that could be bridged in a short time. Splurt. Zhang Zan spat out a mouthful of blood. Without the aid of the destiny threads, Zhongli regained his composure. With a quick maneuver, he dodged the direct onslaught of the sword chi. Even so, he couldn't escape entirely unscathed. The sword chi grazed him, leaving his face pale as his chest bore a bowl-sized cavity with shattered organs. Thump, thump. Zhang Zan's injuries healed once more. The eternal heart's power was simply overwhelming, a relentless engine that provided an infinite supply of energy. As long as he didn't concede defeat, it would endlessly fuel him. You've severed my destiny connection, let's see how you resist now. Prince Yuanqing stepped forward. His own injuries had recovered significantly, though full restoration was still some ways off. This was where the difference made by the eternal heart became evident. As long as energy sources were sufficient, the eternal heart granted an endless supply of strength, freeing Zhang Zan from any other considerations. In contrast, an ordinary cultivator had to divert efforts to heal injuries when wounded. Such disparities might not be immediately apparent in the short term, but over time, the disadvantage became glaringly obvious. Before Zhang Li, 3 cauldrons materialized, each exuding tremendous oppressive force. Though the primordial dragon tripod had shattered during a pill forging session, as the source world's top apothecary, Zhang Li possessed no shortage of cauldrons. Each of them was a treasure of the highest grade. He must die today. Prince Yuanqing nodded, flicking his finger. The Mountain River Order and small jade seal hovered before him, exuding an aura of dominion over the 9 provinces. Though his heart had been crushed and the eternal heart now resided in Zhang Zan's chest, weakening him slightly, the array of treasures still endowed him with the combat power of a peak life C9 Dan expert. Your Highness, take this Azure Dragon Heaven repairing pill first. Zhang Li shouted, sending a pill his way. Prince Yuanqing caught it and swallowed it in one motion. Rustle, rustle. Beneath his chest where the void had been, a heart formed from the pill's energies. While it was far inferior to his original heart and even more so to the eternal heart, it nonetheless closed the gap, allowing his strength to once again reach major accomplishment. In that instant, all his injuries healed. With Elder Zhang Li flanking him from one side, they sealed off all of Zhang Zan's potential escape routes. Ha 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 ha, how exhilarating. Despite facing pressure from 2 formidable foes, Zhang Zan showed no signs of panic. Instead, he burst into laughter. Since arriving in the source world, he had been continually suppressed, forced into hiding. This was the first time he could fight to his heart's content. What's more, he discovered that under the heat of battle, his 8-orifice heart was madly absorbing power and refining the medicinal essence of the peerless elixir. Surprisingly, it was beginning to show signs of evolving toward the 9-orifice heart. In other words, as long as he kept fighting, he should be able to fully forge the eternal heart in no time. With the eternal heart in hand, coupled with the reincarnation relic tower, even achieving the eternal golden body was within reach. Moments ago, he had considered fleeing, but now he found himself reluctant to leave. Chapter 437 Fierce Battle Part 2. Your name is Zhang Xuanqing, right? At such a young age, possessing this level of cultivation and intelligence, regardless of the methods or means employed, you truly are a talent. Prince Yuanqing did not continue his attack but instead regained his usual composure and said, I'll give you one chance. Return the eternal heart to me, and I promise, as the crown prince, not only to help you reconstruct the 7-orifice exquisite heart but also to assist you in breaking through to the peak of life C9 Dan, making you a formidable figure. With the eternal heart, I too can break through to life C9 Dan and even have the chance to forge an eternal golden body. Why should I give it back? Zhang Zan said with a smile. Wherever strength exists, there is predation. If the heart were truly handed over to the opponent, within 10 breaths, he'd likely be slain, his soul scattered to the winds. Thus, no amount of enticing words matters, what counts is action. The person before him had killed his own disciples without so much as a blink for the peerless divine pill. How could he spare Zhang Zan? His promises were nothing but expedient lies. The eternal heart is a supreme treasure of the world. I'm afraid you may live long enough to snatch it, but not to wield it. Seeing Zhang Zan unimpressed, Prince Yuanqing sneered. I think your highness is the same. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't be able to use it for long. Zhang Zan retorted. In that case, it will come down to fate. Seeing that words wouldn't sway Zhang Zan, Prince Yuanqing ceased his efforts and, with a tap of his finger, activated the Mountain River Order. It instantly expanded into what looked like a map, revealing miniature mountains and rivers on its surface. This is, the activated state of the Mountain River Order, 1,000 Miles Mountains and Rivers map. It can channel the power of mountains and seas. Since we're currently at sea, its power will be amplified several-fold. Be careful. A voice echoed in Zhang Zan's mind. It was the Frost Demon Lord. In such battles of this caliber, Zhang Zan's strength was sufficient, but his understanding fell short. The Frost Demon Lord's explanations revealed secrets previously unknown to Zhang Zan. The Crown Prince has the 1,000 Miles Mountains and Rivers map. What about Emperor Fusheng? Zhang Zan asked curiously. To command mountains and seas, wielding sovereign authority akin to the Earth Book, it would mean the crown prince was this powerful. But what treasures would emperors wield? The frost demon lord's androgynous voice echoed. Emperor Fusheng uses the 10,000 miles river and mountain map and the seal of the country. Oh, Zhang Zan murmured in realization. While they spoke, Prince Yuanqing stepped closer to the 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map. Extending a finger, he pointed at a deep blue ocean section on the map. Boom! In an instant, Zhang Zan saw a colossal finger descending from the heavens, like a pillar that seemed to pierce the sky. Its reach spanned dozens of miles, and before it even landed, the turbulent waves nearby were stilled, suppressed utterly. Around it, countless fish and shrimp immediately perished, as if the world's end had arrived. The sunlight ceased, and all grew dark. Is this the power of the 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map? Zhang Zan was astonished. A mere touch on the map could manifest such a magnified finger in real life. No wonder it stood as the Tianli Empire's supreme celestial treasure, terrifying indeed. Thump, thump, thump. The 8-orifice heart pulsed fiercely, and Zhang Zan's aura grew stronger with each beat. His wrist flicked, releasing a 9-story treasure tower that floated before him. The Reincarnation Relic Tower. The soul imprint on the tower had been erased by Prince Yuanqing, using power destiny. But Zhang Zan had since successfully forged it, and the tower expanded against the wind, 100 meters tall in mere moments, directly charging toward the descending finger. Splash! The tower's peak, sharp, like a needle, left a clear mark on the gargantuan finger before them. Though you can crush opponents with a finger using the 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map, its defensive capabilities haven't improved. Now, I'll sever it completely. Revelation struck Zhang Zan. Laughing aloud, his heart pulsed rapidly as he transformed into a towering giant, hundreds of meters tall. With one hand gripping the 9-story treasure tower like a sword, he swung it at the descending finger. Swoosh! A gleaming arc of sword chi, extending for dozens of kilometers, swept through the air. It resembled a compressed 2D strike as it cleaved into the massive finger. Splash! Blood splattered everywhere. Before the finger even touched the ground, a large chunk was sliced clean off. Prince Yuanqing hastily withdrew his finger, only to discover that its tip had been severed. His expression turned grim. The ability he just employed, divine descent from the 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map, allowed his body to merge with the map, making him feel like a god descending upon his foes, applying immense psychological pressure. Yet, his opponent didn't succumb to fear. Instead, he identified the ability's weakness effortlessly and counterattacked. How was this possible? Even he had been rendered speechless for days the first time he used this power. How could Zhang Zan, a mere minor figure in the galaxy realm, possess a mindset superior to his own? Let's see how many moves you can withstand. Mountain and river move. Though Prince Yuanqing was shaken, he didn't falter. Recognizing that divine descent was ineffective, he growled lowly and pointed at the 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map once more. Swoosh! As he made his move, the previously calm sea erupted violently into 1,000-meter-high waves. The surging waters coalesced in the sky, manifesting as armies of countless soldiers charging toward Zhang Zan. The 1,000 miles mountains and rivers map's second ability, mountain and river move. When mountains and rivers shifted, armies emerged. Not even those at the peak of life's sea realm, or even those who had transcended it, could face this power without panic. This strike embodies the essence of the entire ocean. It harnesses the strength of countless living creatures. Essence pills won't suffice to block it. Unnerved by the Crown Prince's second strike unveiling such devastating power, the Frost Demon Lord's voice quivered. Even at his peak, he would retreat before this ability. Zhang Zan, wielding only the demon's essence pill, would surely be unable to withstand it. Escape or evasion seemed the only options. Essence pills can't withstand it, but why would I need to block it? With a soft chuckle, Zhang Zan neither resisted nor dodged. Instead, he spread his arms wide, hovering calmly in midair. Thump, 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 thump. The heart pulsed 9 times in succession, each beat like a thunderous drum. The essence pill's energy surged violently, enveloping Zhang Zan in endless torrents of demonic qi. Since you're controlling the ocean, I'll swallow it whole. Laughing loudly, Zhang Zan conjured a vision of a teoti, its massive maw yawning open to swallow the heavens and the earth. The ocean Prince Yuanqing controlled hadn't yet reached Zhang Zan when it seemed to fall into a void, rapidly disappearing before the naked eye. The waves came swiftly, and were consumed just as swiftly. Before Prince Yuanqing could react, the thousands of meters high tsunamis were all gone. Even the ocean below, a vast expanse many miles deep, vanished, as if drained by the legendary Kuo-fu. An ocean stretching over 10,000 miles in diameter was devoured in its entirety by Zhongzhan with a single thought. Who are you? How did you pull this off? Prince Yuanqing's expression shifted drastically, the composure he'd maintained now nowhere to be found. Chapter 438. Fierce Battle Part 3. The ocean before them, though not the largest within Tianli Empire's boundaries, still boasted a diameter exceeding 10,000 miles. The water it contained surpassed trillions upon trillions of tons. Such immense weight, even a bodhisattva-level expert would find it impossible to move. Not to mention taking it away instantaneously without leaving a single trace. What kind of storage magical treasure could possibly possess such terrifying capabilities? Are you, the disciple of the space-time saint? Prince Yuanqing inquired. Throughout the entire source world, perhaps only this pseudo-immortal spacetime mirror could hold such an immense space and exhibit the ability to devour everything in the blink of an eye. Guess. Zhongzhan laughed heartily while inwardly exhaling a sigh of relief. The mountain and river move deployed by the 1,000 Miles Mountains and Rivers map in the hands of his opponent was indeed formidable, exactly as the Frost Demon Lord had said. Taking it head-on would undoubtedly be unwise. At the critical moment, he found a solution, that was, draining the ocean before him entirely into the New World. The New World was boundless in size. Let alone one ocean, even 10, 100, or 10,000 oceans could be easily accommodated. Housing it posed no issue, the challenge lay in transporting something of this magnitude into it. If it had been up to him, despite possessing the Eternal Heart and the Essence Pill, it still couldn't have been done. Luckily, the prince had utilized the power of the mountain and river map to maneuver the seawater for his attack. Thus, it transitioned from moving the ocean to actively channeling the seawater inward, ultimately erasing this vast sea from the source world in a moment's time. Of course, though straightforward in theory, executing it was far from simple. The energy expended for this maneuver almost caused his body to disintegrate once more. Fortunately, his 8-orifice heart further evolved toward the Eternal Heart, while the medicine power from the peerless elixir replenished him significantly, otherwise, it would have been utterly impossible. Damn it! Disgruntled, Prince Yuanqing's face contorted. Using the strongest celestial treasure, he had launched consecutive attacks, both thwarted by the youth before him. Even he had to admit that this man, having forged the Eternal Heart, now possessed enough qualifications to challenge him head-on. Your Highness, while he may have forged the Eternal Heart, he has yet to fully master it. Moreover, the power he wields isn't innately his. As long as we go on the offensive and relentlessly drain him, we can certainly bring him down. At this juncture, Elder Zhong Li's voice transmitted over. Understood. Prince Yuanqing nodded. With this reminder, he also realized that the power unleashed by his opponent indeed wasn't inherently his own, it was borrowed. Its overwhelming strength stemmed from the exceptional capacity of the Eternal Heart, which could perfectly leverage external energy. But since this borrowed power was not self-generated, it would inevitably run out. Given that, accelerating his attacks would only render the youth weaker and weaker. Then let's brute force it. Recognizing the soundness of the plan, Prince Yuanqing ceased employing divine descent strikes and instead, his figure flashed to appear directly before Zhongzhan. With a flick, a small jade seal shot toward him like an unstoppable tide. Simultaneously, Elder Zhong Li commanded 3 massive tripods to hurtle down from the skies. One from the front, another from behind. Both attacked in unison, collapsing the surrounding space into what seemed like a compressed iron disc, dense, heavy, and nearly impenetrable. Even respiration grew strained under the pressure. This is exactly what I was waiting for. Feeling the oppressive force all around, Zhongzhan softly chuckled inwardly. If the opponent had persisted in using the 1,000 Miles Mountains and Rivers map, Zhongzhan could still endure it but not without difficulty. However, this kind of direct combat, while greatly exhaustive, provided deeper stimulus to the 8-orifice heart's energy, hastening its evolution. Boom! Under immense compression, the 8-orifice heart surged in its inhaling and exhaling rhythm once more. The force from the essence pill coursing into Zhongzhan's body accelerated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Master, please ease up a little. At this absorption rate, my essence pill might not last for even a quarter of an hour. The trembling voice of the Frost Demon Lord rang out. This was energy he had refined over countless years, and now, under Zhang Zan's frenzied extraction, it seemed it wouldn't even last a quarter of an hour. Who could he even turn to for justice? The most critical issue was, once his essence pill's energy was completely drained, even if his soul remained, the chance of him resurrecting would be slim to none. Got it. Zhang Zan nodded. This was merely the 8-orifice stage of the eternal heart. It had yet to reach 9 orifices. Once the breakthrough occurred, essence pills at this level might be entirely drained in an instant. This alone demonstrated the terrifying might of those who wielded the eternal heart. Still, this was just the power of a heart. If paired with the eternal golden body, even a cultivator at Life Sea Realm could easily contend with Bodhisattva-level experts in battle. Boom, 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 boom. As the heart finished directing its energy, Zhang Zan re-engaged in fierce combat against the duo. The violent shockwaves blasted the now drained seabed into one massive crater after another. Piece by piece, Zhang Zan's body was blown apart, regenerated, and blown apart yet again. Yet, with the 8-orifice heart and the energy from the Frost Demon Lord's essence pill, he not only held his ground but also fought with increasing intensity, his strength escalating further. The medicine power is nearly depleted. Amidst the chaos, Zhang Zan cast his gaze toward his heart. The peerless divine pill he'd placed inside, initially the size of a dragon's eye, had now shrunk to roughly the size of a peanut, its volume reduced by more than half. The shrinking size reflected the potency of its medicine power, all converted into nourishment for the heart, pushing the 8-orifice heart to its zenith, lacking only a single breakthrough to become the perfect great eternal heart. Master, at this rate, my essence pill truly won't hold out. Just as Zhang Zan was fighting ever more ferociously, the Frost Demon Lord's anxious voice chimed in. Gazing within himself, Zhang Zan observed that the previously refined essence pill had diminished to the size of a soybean, with its once pure energy nearly entirely depleted. Didn't you claim it would last for a quarter of an hour? Why so soon? Zhang Zan exclaimed in surprise. Earlier, the Frost Demon Lord had assured him the energy could sustain him for 15 minutes. Yet, barely half a tea's time had passed, and the essence pill could no longer endure. The heart is growing stronger, and its inhaling speed is accelerating. Naturally, the consumption rate has increased as well. The Frost Demon Lord hurriedly explained. Compared to half a tea's time ago, the inhalation speed of Zhang Zan's heart had doubled. This degree of escalation meant the essence pill was inevitably consumed at an increasingly rapid pace. Once fully drained, his primary energy source would vanish. Despite wielding the 8-orifice heart, Zhang Zan would lose his ability to battle Yuanqing and Zhang Li further. In truth, Zhang Li's combat strategy was impeccable, without a single flaw. He's close, his internal energy is almost fully depleted. Noticing Zhang Zan's movements slowing, Zhang Li blurted out excitedly. Prince Yuanqing's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Though they, too, were experiencing energy consumption, their energy came from their own cultivation. Consuming pills could restore them quickly. Zhang Zan, however, relied on borrowed power and lacked adequate medicine for recovery, making him far less sustainable. Amitabha. Prince Yuanqing, Zhang Xuanqing is a devout follower of my Buddhist sect. Why must you push him to the brink? At that moment, a gentle voice reverberated as Blue Cloud Venerable appeared in midair, his robes fluttering majestically. Chapter 439 Fierce Battle Part 4. This esteemed high monk of the Buddhist sect, with the aid of the power of causality, after a frantic sprint, finally arrived here. Blue Cloud Venerable, is your Buddhist sect intending to oppose my Tianli Empire? The gaze of Crown Prince Yuanqing was dark and ominous. If earlier, when Zhang Xuanqing took out the Reincarnation Relic Tower and the 10 Directions Bodhi Demon Suppression Rope, he still suspected they were stolen from the Buddhist sect. Now, seeing this man appear, he harbored no further doubts. It was your highness who insulted my Buddhist sect first. How can you place a label on me, accusing me of opposition? Blue Cloud Venerable shook his head. Blue Cloud Venerable, this Zhang Xuanqing before us is employing the demon clans. Seeing the two failing to communicate, Elder Zhang Li could not hold back and shouted aloud. Before he could finish his words, Zhang Xuanqing suddenly bellowed from not far away. Venerable, they have stolen the Reincarnation Relic Tower that you bestowed upon me. They cannot be forgiven lightly. Please block Crown Prince Yuanqing for me while I first slay this Zhang Li. Who? As his shout ended, Zhang Zan had already appeared before Elder Zhang Li, thrusting forth the cold nether sword chi coiling like a dragon. Seeking death. Seeing him initiate an attack, Elder Zhang Li, paying no heed to explanations, manipulated his cauldron to meet it head-on. In an instant, the two clashed fiercely. Out of my way. Knowing that Elder Zhang Li was likely not a match, Crown Prince Yuanqing barked coldly, preparing to charge forward. Amitabha, Your Highness, stay your step. With a flip of his palm, Blue Cloud Venerable unleashed a torrent of force, blocking his path. If Zhang Li is killed, your fruit position golden pill can no longer be forged, and the Bodhisattva will drift farther and farther from you. Crown Prince Yuanqing shouted angrily. This. Blue Cloud Venerable furrowed his brows. Zhang Li was the only apothecary capable of forging the fruit position golden pill. If he were truly dead, without the golden pill, the path to the Bodhisattva realm might forever be unattainable. Zhang Xuanqing, why have you come into conflict with His Highness and Elder Zhang Li? Realizing this, Blue Cloud Venerable sensed something amiss and couldn't help but question aloud. He had rushed here earlier to save the man because this individual was someone he had converted and, more importantly, someone named specifically by the Buddha, a life that simply could not be lost. Yet now, calming down, he immediately recognized inconsistencies. The Galaxy 7 Dan, engaging in combat against the Peak of Life Sea Realm Masters, holding his own without faltering, in fact, single-handedly blocking two elite adversaries, both Crown Prince Yuanqing and Elder Zhang Li. From any angle, this was not someone who could be effortlessly converted. They saw my reincarnation relic tower and attempted to seize it. Zhang Zan casually fabricated a tale. He knew he could not continue manipulating this man for long, but he only needed to stall them briefly, to first eliminate Elder Zhang Li. Both being at the peak of Life Sea Realm, once he slew Zhang Li, the strength within the latter's body would suffice for Zhang Zan to wield temporarily. Coupled with the multitude of pills he possessed, achieving success in either practicing or escaping would become far more likely. Your Highness ought to know, the Reincarnation Relic Tower is a treasure of the Buddha. Should you wish to forge it, you would be opposing my Buddhist sect. Blue Cloud Venerable declared. Elder Zhang Li was helping me forge the peerless divine pill, assisting me in condensing the eternal heart. This man used the Reincarnation Relic Tower to steal my pills and heart. Thus, I must kill him. Knowing he could not leave without clarifying the matter, Crown Prince Yuanqing suppressed his fury and explained. Peerless divine pill. Eternal heart. Blue Cloud Venerable faltered momentarily before noticing that the prince before him had a large hollow in his chest, his heart clearly missing. Meanwhile, Zhang Zan, with every attack, exuded an inexhaustible surge of strength, overwhelming and powerful. In an instant, he verified the prince's words were not baseless fabrications. Indeed, this Zhang Xuanqing has just employed the demon clan's power. You speak of him being your Buddhist sect's believer, on what grounds? Crown Prince Yuanqing pressed. Using the demon clan's power. Blue Cloud Venerable found it hard to believe. Crown Prince Yuanqing nodded, sneering coldly, the pervasive demonic chi here remains thick. As a high monk of the Buddhist sect, surely you wouldn't fail to detect it. Blue Cloud Venerable hastily scanned his surroundings, and though much of the demonic power had been dispersed, traces still remained for keen observation. This is, Frost Demon Lord's strength. Zhang Xuanqing, is that essence pill in your possession? Blue Cloud Venerable seemed to realize the truth, his facial complexion turning crimson. In an instant, clarity struck him regarding everything. What he thought to have been conversions was likely a mere trick of this man's, and he himself was the fool who had fallen for it. How infuriating. Leaving aside the hatred over the stolen essence pill, the matter of losing the Reincarnation Relic Tower, a treasure of the Buddha, alone presented consequences unbearably weighty. Let's jointly capture him first. Seeing him come to his senses, Crown Prince Yuanqing commanded sternly. An enemy's enemy is a friend. No matter the status of the relationship between Tianli Empire and the Buddhist sect, retrieving the eternal heart took precedent above all else. All right. Blue Cloud Venerable nodded firmly. Ha 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 ha, your reaction is swift. However, for me, the time granted is already sufficient. Seeing the two adversaries about to converge on him, Zhang Zan showed no fear. He instead laughed audibly once more. Everything was well within his calculations. The trap he laid earlier was ripe for detonation. Love destiny, devour. No longer concealing himself, with an inward growl, the threads of love hidden within the no self, heavenly mandate unfurled, revealing hundreds upon hundreds of strands in mere moments. Instantly, countless yuan power from the Buddhist sect coursed into his body. Burn. Knowing he had but one chance, Zhongzhan's 8-orifice heart thumped violently, causing the essence pill, the size of a soybean inside his chest, to melt completely. Earlier, he could have harnessed more demonic power, but such an act risked complete demonization. Only through covert extraction of minimal strands of Buddhist yuan power could he cautiously mediate the demonic qi, avoiding detection by Blue Cloud Venerable. Boldness for greater theft would have exposed him. Now, diplomacies shattered, all possible diversionary time achieved, and Elder Zhong Li's power and weaknesses painstakingly gauged, there remained no reason to maintain his facade or concealment. Crash. An immense surge of demonic power roared into his body, neutralizing the Buddhist yuan power entirely, granting Zhongzhan an unprecedented, extraordinary strength in mere moments. Never imagining someone would graft and siphon from his river of destiny, Blue Cloud Venerable quaked with fury, his entire body trembling as he swung his hand to sever the love threads. But discovering it now was far too late. Fusing both Buddhist and demonic forces, Zhongzhan bore the semblance of a demon king enthroned upon Lingzhu Mountain. Wielding the cold nether sword, he slashed ferociously toward Zhong Li. The pathos of heaven. Though Zhongzhan had deployed swordsmanship before, this ultimate technique transcending Tianli Empire's martial ways had never been unleashed until now. Partnered with both Buddhist and demonic strength, coupled with the eternal heart of 8 orifices, his full might exploded outward instantly. The very fabric of space tore apart like fragile paper. Unprepared for the astonishing escalation in Zhongzhan's power within such a short span, Zhong Li found escape nearly impossible. He hastily deployed 3 cauldrons as shields in front while turning away to flee. Chapter 440 Fierce Battle Part 5. Crash. The sword chi swept across, splitting the 3 cauldrons on the spot. Its remaining force unabated, it descended upon Zhong Li's head. Break. Zhong Li's face twisted, and he threw a fierce punch upward. The sword chi was struck by powerful strength and wavered a few times. Zhongzhan was about to exert more force when he discovered the cold nether sword in his palm couldn't withstand the violent sword chi, crumbling inch by inch into flying ash. The sword was forged from ordinary materials. Although enhanced considerably through the creator of the New World's techniques, it still had its limits. The power unleashed just now from Buddha-demon fusion was too immense, reaching its limit directly. Without a weapon, Zhongzhan's strength was significantly reduced. Now, he couldn't kill the opponent in front of him in one move and reclaim the power supply. Once Blue Cloud Venerable and Prince Yuanqing completed the encirclement, his death was certain. This is my only option. Knowing he had no time for contemplation, Zhongzhan's eyes turned crimson, and with a flick of his wrist, a treasure tower appeared before him. With a light tap, a white, glassy bone surfaced. The white bone sky observation relic from the first layer of the relic tower. This was the hand bone relic of the Bodhisattva of Wisdom battle. Back then, this Bodhisattva battled with the otherworldly heavenly demon, killing each other in the fight. The Buddha retrieved the bodies and condensed this Buddha bone. The bone resembled white jade and crystal glass, emitting a faint Buddha light, and as soon as it appeared, Buddhist sounds resonated in the air. How dare you dismantle the reincarnation tower? Blue Cloud Venerable was about to go mad. The strength of the reincarnation relic tower primarily relied on its 9 Buddha bone relics. Taking them apart was equivalent to separating the artifact. Even if it were reclaimed, it would lose its overall effect and certainly incur the Buddha's wrath. Ignoring his fury and roars, Zhongzhan, after extracting the relic, gave a low shout as the Bodhisattva of Wisdom bottle's bone merged into his palm. Thump 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 thump. His heart accelerated, the powerful strength continuously scrubbing away residual intentions, and within less than 1,000th of a breath, it was forcibly refined. Back when the Buddha condensed the reincarnation relic tower, it was intended for cultivating the eternal golden body. Thus, each Buddha bone had a natural conformance to the eternal heart. Realizing this, Zhongzhan used the last bit of strength in his body to forcibly experiment, intending to merge this celestial treasure left by the Buddha into his entire being, converging to form the strongest corporeal being in this source world. Luckily, his luck held, and he succeeded directly. Boom! The relic was refined by him. Zhongzhan's right hand seemed to swell instantly, his skin becoming whiter and more delicate, and a wand symbol abruptly appeared in his palm, striking down on Elder Zhongli, who had just barely escaped danger. From the cold nether sword's shattering to refining the white bone sky observation relic, it took less than half a breath. At this moment, Zhongli had not yet recovered from the Yuking sword technique, and Zhang Zan's powerful strength loomed overhead. Zhongli turned pale, wanting to escape, but realized he couldn't. The white bone sky observation relic could sever cause and effect. With one palm strike, all causality was destroyed, fleeing was impossible. He raised both palms to resist, only to find the youth before him possessed both Buddha and demon aspects, with a surprisingly tremendous strength. Bam! Unable to hold on any longer, his corporeal form exploded. If it were Zhang Zan, with the beating of the eternal heart, he could directly recover. He couldn't do it and knew the opponent would not give him a chance. His soul transformed into a shadow and turned to flee. Knowing now wasn't the time for pursuit, Zhang Zan gently grasped, collecting the shattered body and storage rings into the new world. Boom! The power contained within the shattered body, upon entering his body, was immediately extracted by the powerful heart, transforming into pure energy that filled his entire being. Great! Zhang Zan breathed a sigh of relief. Although he hadn't obliterated the opponent's soul, he successfully refined his entire power, replenishing the void left by the exhaustion of the Frost Demon Lord's energy. Along with the various medicines and pills in the opponent's storage rings, he should not need to worry about depletion for a short time. You're seeking death. At that moment, Prince Yuanqing and Blue Cloud Venerable arrived, both furious, attacking simultaneously. The space before them collapsed layer by layer. Knowing that even refining the white bone sky observation relic, he couldn't be a match for the two, Zhang Zan didn't resist head-on, retreating while observing the changes in his hand. After merging with the Bodhisattva of Wisdom Bottle's relic, Zhang Zan's entire hand, upon channeling strength, appeared glassy, like a supreme and yang celestial treasure. The connection between hand and heart became closer, like an inseparable whole. This should be the feeling of the eternal golden body, Zhang Zan realized. Although the eternal heart hadn't fully transformed into the 9 veins, and this hand hadn't perfectly fused with the Buddha bone, the combination of the two boosted his power explosively, elevating his combat abilities. Previously, he might have been at a disadvantage against these two's attacks, but now he was already handling it with ease. Let's try the second relic. Knowing the more relics refined, the greater the success rate of the eternal golden body, Zhang Zan's thought moved, and the Karma Fire Red Lotus relic from the second layer was brought out. This was forged from the pure Karma Dragon Tree Bodhisattva's major dragon vertebra. This Bodhisattva, once battling a demon king in the 9 Netherworld Blood Sea, unable to gain the upper hand, extracted his vertebra and burned 10,000 miles with karmic fire to kill the opponent. However, after this battle, his power was exhausted, and he passed away publicly after returning to Lingzhu Mountain. The Buddha commemorated his merit, leaving this relic on the second layer. The vertebra appeared, squirming towards Zhang Zan's spine. Upon contact with his skeleton, he felt boundless power rushing in, almost draining him. No, it's not time for refinement yet. Zhang Zan hurriedly returned the relic to the reincarnation tower. Refinement was possible, but the power consumption was immense. He succeeded earlier by borrowing Blue Cloud Venerable's power and the last magical abilities from the Frost Demon Lord's essence pill. Currently battling 2 formidable opponents, consuming power for refinement only to achieve the eternal golden body clearly wasn't worth it. However, although unsuccessful, it confirmed one thing: if he could somehow refine all 9 relics in the reincarnation tower and combine them with the eternal heart, he must achieve the so-called eternal golden body. Though uncertain of its specific effects, it could be predicted that once successful, even without cultivation at the peak of life's sea realm, he could battle these two, possibly even crushing them with ease. I have no time to tussle with you, farewell. Having acquired everything he wanted, Zhang Zan lost interest in continuing. With 2 palm strikes, he repelled Prince Yuanqing and Blue Cloud Venerable, an airwave exploding behind him as he swiftly retreated straight into the distance. As he narrowly escaped the two's attack range, the space ahead twisted, and 6 tall figures appeared suddenly. 5 forms Venerable Sage and Ren